Moviebox Forums Community Podcast. This is episode 22 for the week of July 2nd. I'm Dakazu from the forums, and who is with me?
Pant1.
Mr. X.
Mrs. Totoro?
And Mr. Totoro? Totoro. That's me.
There are two Totoros here.
This is going to get really confusing really quickly.
It's really not. You have really different voices.
Hello,
No way.
It's Mrs. Totoro.
Hi, Mrs. Totoro. Welcome.
Hi, how
Hi,
are
Doctor.
you?
Hi, Dakazu. How are you?
You know, so if I ask you to smack Totoro, will you do it? Because, you know, you're actually in the vicinity of him.
He's all the way across the room.
Damn
Can you
it.
throw something at him?
I could throw the dog at him.
Do it.
That'll
Totoro,
just make
catch
him
the dog.
happy.
Catch the dog.
Oh, damn, drop the dog.
Also,
But if-
welcome back to Apant.
Hello again.
Apant1, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
Yes, we
We're
wanted
glad
to
to
get
have
you
you.
back. And then you were like, oh, I didn't know I was welcome back.
I thought you guys hated me.
No, we don't. We actually just, most of the time, we're like, who do we need to have on? Do we have
So-
people?
I just assumed you thought you were too good for us
Yes.
Well,
after
that
the
too.
last time.
That's brazenly obvious.
No, you can tell who we hate to have on the podcast because I just pitch up their voices in post-production.
I thought that only happened once.
It was an accident.
Or you
It
just
hap-
cut them out completely.
That was an accident.
Right,
It
Rodney?
Sure.
Rodney, be nice.
It happens
That's a
every
good point, Rodney.
It happens every week because Dakazu actually sounds like Barry White.
He is Barry White.
You just can't tell because my voice has been like altered by Totoro.
Witness protection.
Well, now I'm
That
going to
too.
pitch it down just to do it this one time.
My wife will like that.
All right, so what do we got here to talk about today?
Let's talk about
Um,
ants. Because I had a freaking ant problem this morning.
Is
You
this related
don't like
to
your
the-
relatives?
No, I'm talking about the little tiny bugs. They're annoying.
Was
Oh.
this related to the ant problem you had like a few months ago that a Police Academy DVD or something?
It is similar.
That was Home Alone 2.
Yeah,
Right?
there was. I opened up my Home Alone 2 DVD case and there was like a million ants inside and I freaked
What?
out.
I just like to think about the fact that you just for whatever reason decide, you know what, I really need to watch Home Alone 2 right now. So
Actually, I was just going through I was cleaning off the top of my television and opened up DVD cases, check all the DVDs were in there. Opened up that one, it was full of ants. It was not
You know,
fun.
I could go for some Home Alone 2 watching right about now.
Pass.
That movie's great. It's got that scene with the lady with the birds.
Blah, blah, blah.
Birds.
But anyway, these ants are not big. They're not like regular size ants. They're like super tiny ants. That's why they're able to like crawl inside the DVD case.
didn't you say they were like dusty or something? But that was
Yeah.
like baby ants or whatever.
Yeah, they're super tiny. But what I dragged my desktop out to the living room to hook my computer up to the big, plasma TV, and I brought out my headset that I use, and I have an audio box that goes with it. It's a Sharkoon Ecstatic, and it has its own audio box. And when I was picking it up, I realized there are ants living inside of it.
Oh,
Jeez.
inside the headphones or the audio box?
Inside the audio box, not
Okay,
my
that's
headphones. That'd
that's
be
not
worse.
quite as bad.
And that would be totally like obvious too, because I'd be like, "Hey, why are these ants all in my hair?" But regardless, I had to like unplug everything, and then like X will tell you, I was talking to him, and then I just left.
Yep.
Because I went outside for about 10 minutes. I was just shaking out my audio box, and like a million like little tiny eggs fell out.
Okay, we were getting ready to play Virtual Fighter, and then you were just gone.
Yeah, and then I came back and was like, ants.
So you didn't poison him?
Well, I can't really spray the inside with Raid, so what I did was I took a paper towel and I sprayed that with Raid. I just kind of wiped it down, and then I just kind of shook it and shook it and shook it till like things stopped falling out of it.
Oh man, that's kind
Did
of...
you shake it like a Polaroid picture?
No, not like that.
There are some natural things that you could do to possibly keep the ants from coming back in. They don't really like cinnamon or garlic, vinegar, black pepper, or mint. So I know you have a dog. That may be a solution for you.
That would be great. But in general, because I live in Hawaii, insects are always a huge problem, and these types of ants, they're almost impossible to stop. Because even like if you plug up like holes with spackle and stuff like that, they will always find new ones or make new ones. And
We
short
were
of fumigating the house like on a regular basis, which is by the way super expensive,
Right.
I probably won't be able to I just have to and live to deal with it. It's one of the problems about living in paradise, I guess.
Well, do you live in an apartment?
No, I rent a house.
Oh, okay then. I was gonna say if it was an apartment, then they'd have to deal with it.
Mhm.
The other thing that you can use is it's a substance called, and forgive me if I mispronounce it, diatomaceous earth. It's like a white sedimentary rock powder that you spray around the house, and it should actually be safe for humans and pets, but they don't like to cross it.
We could finally, branch off into the home improvement section of iTunes now.
Yeah, this is the pest control
Podcast,
cast, right?
yeah,
I
exactly.
can talk
Well-
about the time I had a bat.
That was great. That was 2 weeks ago?
No, it was more than that.
I don't know. It seems like it was about 2
It
weeks
was within
ago.
the past month. We were playing games on the Mumble server, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my god, I have to go. There's a bat.
We were playing something on PS3, and then I saw something fall from the ceiling and at the corner of my eye, and then I looked down, and there's a bat. It ran over to me and started and stared at me, and then I took off. And I said, I gotta go.
It was clearly a vampire.
Yes.
It was already transformed.
Now, why in the hell? I mean, you've had issues with people stealing your pants, and you invite a vampire into your home. What the hell's wrong with you? It's like you're
Well, he
asking for
was-
trouble.
You're so gullible.
Well, he had a cape.
He said I could have his cape.
And eat it too.
I would
You
like
should-
to see you not invite someone into your house wearing a cape.
You should really learn to tell Eric Northman and Bill Compton no, Sookie.
It's okay.
Suck
They
it.
don't wear capes.
I don't watch True Blood.
I would watch
I
it
get
if
this
they wore
reference.
fucking capes.
So, you know what the best way to kill both a vampire and a fire ant is?
Pellet gun?
Step on
Flamethrower.
them.
A
Oh, yeah.
flamethrower, oddly enough. Oh, and speaking of flamethrowers, hey, did anyone see Meet the Pyro this week?
That was so
Yeah.
Oh
forced.
god, that was.
Speaking
That
of
was such a
segues,
forced transition.
Whatever. But no one wants to hear talk about fire ants forever.
I was
The
like,
bats.
how in the world do you? I was like, what lore is this that vampires are killed by fire?
Well, come
every
on, that's
lore.
an easy solution.
I thought it was unless it was the sun, it was.
Well, sun sets them on
staking
fire.
them.
The sun
It's just a
burns
logic.
them.
You're just taking out the middleman there.
Fire does kill them. Have you not
So
watched
anyway,
Buffy?
yeah, the
You haven't
pyro
watched
update.
Buffy.
No, I
Yeah,
haven't.
that was pretty awesome.
Rainbows.
And kitties.
And
So
the
did you guys-
unicorns.
All like the Beat the Pyro video?
Yes.
Or were you disappointed?
Yeah, I liked
well,
it.
I mean, I was just a touch disappointed about one very small aspect of it, but I mean, overall,
But you were
I was happy.
expecting them to show
I-
his face,
I would
which
not
was
say that I
not
was
a reasonable expectation to
I
have.
no,
I'm
I
an
don't.
X.
I didn't expect it. I was hoping for it, but it was not an expectation. I was hoping for it.
I really like that they kept it a mystery, and really that's what Valve is going to do at this point. What kind of upset me is that they used licensed music. I think they could have made up something real good for that for the Pyroland bit, but they went with "Do
But
You
that was so
Believe
perfect.
in Ma-" It was pretty
No,
darn
that
good.
was not perfect. They should have used, rainbows, lollipops, and I'm singing the words wrong.
Moonbeams and yeah, I know what you're talking about.
They could have used my favorite things.
That'd be good.
Yeah, that would have been good. No, now, who does though? Do you believe in magic?
That is a good question. I don't remember.
Like, it seemed like it was very bubblegum pop from like the 1960s or whatever.
Well, this video confirmed that the pyro is either insane or on drugs all the time.
Yeah.
It's the Levin spoonful.
Okay.
I'm really hoping that this isn't the end of Valve videos, especially with the Pyro. There could be like a lot of other videos of, I don't know, different mental states of the Pyro.
Oh, yeah.
If he
Meet
slash
the
she,
balloonicorn.
if he
Oh,
slash she is
definitely.
really crazy, I'd like to see a video of her like sneaking up in ambush, and it would be like chasing down someone in the film noir scene or other kind of different styles of crazy.
Now, so you refer to the pyro as she. Do you
He,
think?
she, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and thought they were gonna when I was watching that, I was kind of hoping that they would maintain the ambiguity, but I think, like the heavy refers to the pyro as it, and I think the scout refers to the pyro as a he. So I don't know.
And then says that thing is not human.
Yeah,
So it's a robot.
could be a robot.
Dakazu, what do you think of it?
I liked it a lot. I'm okay with them not revealing the sex. I think that was fine.
Yeah.
If they reveal the sex, I think people are going to be upset either way. Or
I think
disappointed
the
either
Meet
way.
the
Not
Spy
upset,
was the
disappointed.
best Meet the video,
Absolutely.
but this one was pretty good.
I always say
really
Meet the
liked
Spy is. I always say Meet the Spy is my favorite video on YouTube and maybe the whole internet. It's just so good. The thing about Meet the Pyro, I feel, is that once you see Pyroland and it's all rainbows and unicorns, the joke's kind of over.
Well, it
I don't know, but
is,
it's so
and
good.
then you start playing the game, and then you get the goggles, and then the joke is back.
Yeah.
True.
Because the goggles transform certain maps into Pyroland.
And there are certain weapons that you can only see with the pyro goggles that normally are flamethrowers, and they turn into rain blowers and lollichops. And
No,
it's
you don't
pretty
need
good.
the goggles to see those.
Yes, you do. You can't be. Well, as any other class, if you're the pyro, you can see those.
No, I'm pretty sure anybody can see the rain blower. I have one.
No, one of the things on it is only visible in Pyroland.
Oh, okay.
And
The
it's
effect?
taunt.
No,
Yeah,
the
it's-
whole. Otherwise, it just looks like a regular flamethrower.
Oh, okay.
And the taunt kill on that is amazing. You surround yourself in this ring of fire and it just all detonates. It's huge. I don't know how they're going to get away with this without balancing it
On
eventually.
Pyrovision, it looks like you're surrounded by rainbows.
And that's even better.
And then his new flare gun also has a taunt.
Oh yeah, I don't remember seeing that, but it looked pretty cool.
It's right.
from
It
what I
was
read.
with what he does in the Meet the Pyro video when he shoots the scout with it. That's the taunt.
I know there was a lot of other pretty cool content with this too, like the new game mode, where what you do is you take an intelligence briefcase or an Australian briefcase and bring it back to a rocket. It's one flag CTF if you haven't played it yet, but it's pretty cool.
It is pretty cool.
I don't know. I think the administrator is a bit chatty. The person who's announcing all the voices and
The Overwatch.
status. Yeah, pretty much. But they actually addressed that in the patch right afterwards, so they took care of my only complaint.
I wish they put it back to where she was talking all the time.
No,
don't know
that's the
about
whole
that new
point. She's
map.
mysterious, like the pyro.
Poopy Joe.
It is pretty funny when she says "Poopy Joe."
I don't think she says it anymore.
Oh no!
She did this
Terrible.
morning.
Are you sure? I didn't hear it when the rocket went off and then crashed. I didn't hear her say Poopy Joe was taken too soon. Or
She has a
whatever
couple
says.
different things she says.
Poopy Joe was great.
I really like some of the bonus content they had with this update, though. It was like a Senate hearing on how the rocket crashed. At the very end, it says that the administrator was, yes, I agreed to launch the Poopy Joe into space for $1 because I'm collecting all the Australia in the world for censored centers, and I found 18 idiots to do it with. And it's supposed to be all like, everyone in the Senate gasps and someone says, I gotta get home to my wife. I think it's supposed to be setting up for the End of the World Mayan 2012 Apocalypse update later this year. It's gonna be awesome.
There's been rumors of robots for a long time.
I think it's gonna be it.
Robot versions of all the classes.
Because
Well,
No, I was about to say, like, what?
Well, but 18 idiots would be 9 on each
Right.
team.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, what? What's that? I don't know.
The 9 character classes.
On
What are
each
the 18
team,
idiots?
9 character classes times 2. Red versus blue.
That's
So she's
not
been-
like a reference to like something in the Mayan, like end of the world.
Well, she said she's been hoarding all the Australium in the world, and she's found 18 idiots to do something. So I'm trying to
Oh,
stave
okay.
off something that would make everyone in the Senate in shock.
We're talking about TF2 canon right now, by the way.
It's so good.
Boring.
Let's go back to talking about ants and bats.
So we used to, well, like when we first moved into where we live now, we were having an ant problem, but they seem to have gone away. I don't know.
You know,
Are
Vivendi
you
is
having
selling.
a
Totoro
heat
is awesome.
problem instead?
Yes. Oh my God, it's so
It's
hot.
like 103 here in Georgia. 103. And Crossx Hunter was saying that it was like 104, 105 by him, and he's also in Georgia.
You know, it
Very
was
different part.
100. I think it was supposed to be 104 here today.
It's terrible.
Apan, where are you?
I live in Florida, and it's been cooler here than the rest of the nation. You know stuff is messed up when that happens.
But I
How's
bet it
that
rains
possible?
a lot.
Dark
Sea
Fox
breeze,
is hot
man.
where he is.
I don't know where
Well, it's like-
Darfox lives.
He
He's in
lives
Miami.
Oh,
He lives in like
No, no, he
Mongolia,
doesn't.
doesn't he?
No, he lives in like Ocala, which is like inland, and that's the thing about Florida, is it can be nice on the coasts, but once you get inland, it gets like balls hot and humid and shit. It's like I hate going to Orlando because it's so warm there in the summer, and it's inland. You don't get any breeze coming in off the water.
Yeah, my parents are a lot further in the coast than I am, and I think my mom's at summer camp right now with our Boy Scout troop, and she said it's way nicer than it is up here.
I don't like Florida because of the alligators.
That too. They get pretty terrible. I had an alligator infested in my house one time.
In your house?
You had an infestation of alligators?
Yeah, it was pretty terrible. We tried spraying and it didn't work.
Did you just spray with Raid and then it just snapped at you?
It was terrible.
Did you shoot it with a pellet gun?
I tried using a flamethrower, but it didn't work, so I didn't want to bring it up.
Would it burn down the house?
I thankfully did not do that.
Did you get the one that took Chubbs' hand?
Don't think so. I got the one from Peter Pan, though. He was terrible. Really mean.
That was a Happy Gilmore reference, by the way.
Everyone knows, X. Everyone knows.
I don't think everybody knows.
You stole Chubbs' hand.
Happy Gilmore is a good movie.
It is?
Yep.
I saw a bad movie this week.
I saw a movie that was okay. We can talk about that after.
I'll talk about my crappy movie first. Did anyone else see Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance?
I want to.
No.
I want to so bad.
I did it because I'm smart.
Are smart.
Wait, was this the Nick Cage movie?
Yes. They were both Nick Cage. He did both
I guess
Ghost
that is
Riders.
right. Nick Cage, his movies are characterized by the fact that all the dialogue is either whispered or screamed.
Are you stealing bits from Saturday Night Live?
Yes, I am. I don't
I think
care.
everyone does that.
But it's like, yeah, that's his shtick.
Well, isn't that special?
Yeah, but Ghost Rider Spirit of Vengeance was no good. I mean, I thought I was just gonna rent it and laugh at like some dumbness, but it was so bad that it wasn't even fun.
Well, were you with friends?
This is from the directors of Crank and Crank 2. How can it not be good?
I love Crank and Crank 2.
I have not watched
And
either
it
of
stars
them.
Nicolas Cage. I refuse to believe that this movie is not amazing.
I
refuse to
I want
believe
you to
it.
watch it, and then we can discuss it again on the
I'm-
podcast. But I thought
I'm
it was
definitely not watching
terrible.
Let's all jump
I
on
thought it was
Mumble and
really
watch
bad.
it then.
We could do that.
It's
If
always
you
better
want,
with
it.
friends.
Oh,
they have
Dakazu,
that option on Xbox Live. You know, you can do the party up and watch Netflix together.
Yeah, but
I
then you
think
have to
they
have
took that out.
Xbox Live Gold.
I think they took that out, which sucks. I used to use that all the time, and then my friend would fall asleep while watching it. So then I would put it on some really terrible thing, and then it would mess up his recommendations, and it would be hilarious.
That's awesome.
That's great.
He'd wake
We
up
could
at 4 o'clock in the morning watching Raptor Island.
We could call it Mumble Sarcasm Theater.
Mumble Movie Mondays?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, we were thinking about doing a bunch of events in Mumble, like Totoro wanted to do a trivia night.
Yeah, I'm thinking
Which
about
I'm
doing that
afraid that
bi-weekly.
that's just going to be on the internet. It's just going to be who can look up the answer quickest.
Unless
Well,
it's
but it'll
audio
be-
based or something.
It'll be audio. Well, I'll probably give the question, but it'll definitely be timed to where it's going to take 15 seconds. You have to answer within 10 or 15 seconds or something.
Yeah, I definitely
So
miss doing
after
trivia.
15 seconds, you can no longer buzz in. That could
Exactly.
work.
Well, the way that they kind of do it with pub trivia. You guys have never done any pub trivia or anything?
I have.
Okay. Well, you know how like every team has an opportunity to respond, and you get a certain number of points based on different criteria.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's kind of like that. So I'm trying to work out how we would do that in Mumble. But,
Well, it could be where whoever is able to Google it the fastest wins. Whoever's able to look up the correct answer at the first.
Well, same thing with pub trivia, really. Now that everyone has smartphones, it's just the honor system that you don't Google it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but-
encourage Googling.
Where we used to live, everybody would tattle on you if you used Google, or you used your search engine. So
Yeah. Well, you got like gift certificates to the pub. So
Well, pub is a live setting. We're over the internet.
yeah.
You can't see what I'm doing.
Well, and I think what I would do is
I would cheat.
I would deliberately look up things that were difficult to Google, or that would intentionally mislead Google, something to where it would, I would be able to easily pick out if someone was Googling or not.
Sneaky.
I know. I'm very devious.
Dakazu, you watched another movie, didn't you?
I did. I told you, X, that I was going to watch Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and I really liked it.
Were you wearing a
very
hoodie
good.
while watching it?
No, I was not.
Did you want to be?
No.
Tom Cruise wears a hoodie in that movie, by the way.
Yes, he does.
Were you hanging out with Simon Pegg while you were watching that movie?
I
'Cause
wish.
I think
Simon Pegg's great.
Simon Pegg is so good in that movie.
I've yet to see it, and I feel so bad because I love Simon Pegg so much, but have not watched that yet.
You
Well,
haven't
have you
seen
seen Paul?
3, right?
No, I've not seen. Yeah. Oh man, I love Paul. Paul was great.
You probably want to see
Paul-
this over Paul.
Paul was okay.
Well,
The problem
I
with
really-
Paul is that Paul is not as funny. There aren't that many
Well,
funny
no.
bits in Paul.
but I remember seeing it. Like when I went and saw it, basically Mrs. Totoro was just trying to get me to relax. I had like a really important presentation the next day, so it was just me trying to relax and enjoy something. So I definitely went into it with, feeling very open about it. But I thought it was funny, so I had no complaints.
Oh, that's so nice, Mrs. Totoro.
So,
Good for you.
Dakazu, where would you rank Ghost Protocol in the series?
Well, I haven't seen the third one.
You need to see the third one.
Third one's the only one
Um,
I've seen.
I would say it's number one. Well, very close with the first Mission Impossible.
I think the third and fourth are the best too. I think I would rank the fourth one over the third, though.
I think the second one. Well, I've only seen the first two, and the second one was definitely not as good as the first.
The second one is kind of balls.
With
I think
Gray
the
Scott.
combination of John Woo with Mission Impossible did not work well.
There was way too many doves.
There really wasn't. There was just that one scene.
Yeah, I know, and there was too many.
Everyone talks about John Woo movie and the doves, but in a lot of
It's
the movies
this
they just
thing.
show up and then
What?
you're like, oh yeah, there they are. But
It always goes
Sound like
slow-mo
overbearing.
with a guy holding two guns, dual wielding, and then doves.
It's like Akira Kurosawa movies and Rain. It's like a trademark almost.
You know, speaking of movies, I saw a movie.
I did too.
I saw Abraham Lincoln Vampire
no
Hunter.
spoilers.
No spoiler.
No spoilers, Mrs. Totoro. And I
Spoilers?
haven't seen it.
Abraham Lincoln is in it.
OMG.
Spoilers, he's a vampire hunter.
He fights.
I went to see it last
vampires.
night, and the showing I was going to see was sold out, and then the half an hour later showing was nearly sold out, and I am not a fan of crowded theaters in 104-degree heat.
So on a scale of Prometheus to 10, I would give it like a 6, maybe a 7.
You're such a fucking god.
So
That movie was not that
I
bad.
like how you're repeating that joke you said yesterday. Is that because Kenzo said he laughed at your joke? He liked
No.
that joke?
Because people listening to the podcast haven't heard it.
what was your opinion on seeing it 3D versus 2D?
I saw it 2D because I have glasses, and I think 3D is stupid because you have to wear glasses over your glasses.
Duly
Mrs.
noted.
Yeah, Mrs. Totoro is kind of the same way. She does. I think, what was the last 3D movie we went and saw?
Avengers.
Oh, Avengers, that's right. And I think before that, the one we saw before that was maybe Toy Story 3.
I think the last
That
3D
was
movie I
that was
saw
hard.
was Tintin.
Last 3D movie
Oh,
I
shit,
saw
that
was
is right.
Up.
Oh yeah, we did see Tintin in 3D, didn't we?
Well, it's just, I remember going and seeing Toy Story 3 in 3D, and the movie was, fantastic, but for whatever reason, that theater was hot, and then the glasses over the glasses that whole situation was really bad.
No, I remember exactly what the Toy Story 3D deal was. We went the night it premiered at the midnight showing, and it was balls hot like it is now, only not quite, 100 degrees. And the theater was completely full, and we were sitting in the second row.
Did we go to the midnight? Because
Yes,
it was
we-
it was an IMAX 3D.
Yep,
I saw
we did.
Avatar IMAX front row 3D.
Oh, Jesus.
That
You
didn't throw
was
up?
awful. My neck was sore for like a month.
I laid
pretty
down
much
in
had to
front
look
of a
straight up.
One time I laid down in front of a giant TV and played Mirror's Edge, like 2 feet
Oh,
from it.
Jesus.
That was pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't see many movies, and especially not in 3D. The last one I saw in 3D was Up. It was too long
the problem
ago.
with 3D is like it's really hard to focus on like the entire screen because you're like you literally can't only focus on like one part of the screen that's happening, and that's really in focus, and everything else is kind of blurred outside of it.
I saw
That really, like, throws me
Transformers
off.
3, and I didn't have that problem with Transformers 3 for some reason.
But you know the
That-
problem I'm talking about.
Yeah, because you have to focus on one thing for it to be 3D.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just kind of blurry.
Yeah. Well, I remember the last 3D movie I went and saw was Prometheus, and the 3D in that was pretty good.
It's a shame about the rest of the
very
movie.
well. God damn it.
It's not my fault it's the worst movie ever made.
Oh, gee. That's a long shot. I would still put, like, Anaconda up there. That movie is fucking terrible.
Manos.
Wait, which Anaconda? Like the first one with
The first
Jennifer
one.
Lopez?
Yes,
And
John Voight.
And
Ice Cube.
and
Cut every
Owen Wilson.
shitty act. Owen Wilson. Oh god, he was in that fucking movie. Oh my god.
and Carrie
Wow.
were.
You know what? If I ever meet Owen Wilson, I may have to. Oh god.
Who's also in The Haunted or The Haunting, whatever that movie is called.
Yeah, with Lily Taylor, Catherine Zeta-Jones, and Liam Neeson.
That's the movie where he messed up his nose.
No, he messed up his nose playing football with his brothers in Texas before they got famous, and he never fixed it because he was afraid that they would give him shit for it.
Well, in that movie, he was supposed to like hit a painting with like a fireplace poker, but it bounced off the painting and hit him in the nose and broke it.
Doing.
Again, so he broke his already busted nose. That would hurt as hell.
I remember reading that a long time ago. I hope that's accurate and I don't look stupid. I hope I look stupid.
Actually, I really feel like it was he broke it playing football with his brothers, but who knows? If you know how Owen Wilson broke his nose, please send us an email at podcast@alltalkpodcast.com or send us a tweet at alltalkpodcast.
Nice. Very
Thank
well
you.
done.
You're welcome.
Totoro, you're forgetting one very, 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 very crappy movie as the worst movie of all time.
What's that?
It's your favorite, Battlefield Earth.
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ.
Piece of cake?
Totoro's mom used to own a video store.
And I worked there for like 12 years.
When she decided to close down said video store, she gave him, I believe, 2 copies of that movie.
Couldn't sell them.
Did you say thank you?
No, I said, what the fuck are you giving me these for?
And then she said, why are you speaking to me this way? I am giving you a gift.
Oh man.
And then she said, get out.
Get out of here. Kiss your mother with that mouth? You mental. But yeah, oh man, that is a fucking horrible movie.
I would not dare see that movie.
Same here.
I saw parts of it.
I don't know what I was expecting, but that is the only movie that I've ever walked out of and going to see it at the theater. Because like around the time that came out, I would literally like go see every movie that came out almost.
You know, Barry Pepper is in that movie.
Yeah, I know. He plays Johnny White Horse Youngblood. What the hell ever. Oh, God.
He's also in the movie Knockaround Guys.
Yeah. He also was in Saving Private Ryan.
Yes, he was. He was the
and
sniper.
The 25th Hour, yeah.
You guys are really good at that, aren't you? Like, I'm
Yeah.
really bad at, like, identifying actors and stuff like that when I watch movies. My wife is really good about it. She's like, that guy was in so-and-so and so-and-so. And
he
like,
was also
I don't
Roger
care.
Maris in 61 with Thomas Jane, who played Mickey Mantle.
He's also in that one movie about the NASCAR driver that died.
Okay, you got
Dale Earnhardt.
Wikipedia open at this
3.
point, don't you?
No, 3, Dale Earnhardt. The Dale Earnhardt story, yeah, he played Dale Earnhardt. Did you know that Thomas Jane used to be, like, really big in India?
Thomas Jane?
Yeah, he was like
What?
He was like an American heartthrob actor in India.
From
He's
Deep
like
Blue Sea?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
The
he's
Punisher?
You're talking
He
about
is-
deepest, bluest, my hat is like a shark's fin.
And The Punisher.
Yes,
From
the Punisher.
The Punisher.
That's the last
Yes.
time you'll hear me rap.
But
Yes.
your hat is like a shark's fin.
Deepest, bluest.
Okay, now do the whole song.
No.
I know you know it.
We don't have enough money for the royalties.
I'm pretty sure the royalties for that song are like a nickel.
I've got a nickel.
I've got $2.
Ooh, really?
You know, if we all pitch in, we could buy Activision Blizzard.
Probably.
They're for sale. Vivendi is selling Activision Blizzard for $8.1 billion.
Well, they're selling their stake.
Well, yeah, they own like 61%.
Yeah.
So if you
Don't
bought
you know
out
that-
all of it, you would be the majority shareholder of that company.
Yep. Gabe could do it with his change that he has in his couch.
Gabe Newell of Valve, for those of you who don't know.
Well, they could probably just do a Steam sale over a weekend and get that money.
Yeah.
Just from
Fire
like
saw
the people in
everything that's
here alone.
Probably. I open my wallet whenever Valve has a sale.
It's always shut up and take my money.
Yep. What would we have Valve do with Blizzard properties or Activision properties?
Well, you would never have more than 2 of anything.
True that. Valve can't count to 3. I would enjoy some quality Call of Duties. Though they might be a little Counter-Strikey.
I wonder if they'd bring back Guitar Hero.
Maybe as a free-to-play game.
Don't you think that ship has sailed and like gone off?
Yes. Although it would work as a free-to-play game with downloadable content where you just buy songs.
That actually would be pretty good.
They'd make trillions of dollars.
But they already have their other game. Was Audio Surf?
That's not
great.
theirs.
Well,
It's not a Valve game.
I know it from Steam. That's where I got it.
All right.
But it's also on iPhone, I think.
I prefer that because you can just kind of pick your files and be like, I want to do it to this,
Yep.
to this song.
Maybe they could bring back some of the old stuff of Activision's, like Battletoads. Are they still on that?
No, that was Rare that made that.
Man, my mind is fuzzy.
What happened to Rare? Are they still around?
Yeah, Microsoft owns them.
Yeah, but what was the last thing they did?
They made avatars. And I think they made some of those launch Connect games, like Connect Sports or whatever.
That's it?
And then before that, they did Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
No, I remember all that stuff.
Yeah.
And Cameo and Perfect Dark Zero. That game was terrible. But yeah, I don't know what else. I assume they're working on something for the next console. They have to be, right?
Probably.
You
Everyone
think?
is at this point. Looks like right now they are making pretty much only Connect stuff.
Connect is stupid. Did you hear about Steel Battalion?
I've heard it's terrible.
It's apparently unplayable. Like, you cannot play the game because the controls don't work.
Yeah, unplayable is a term that gets bandied about a lot in the video games industry, but this might be literally unplayable.
You cannot progress through the game because the controls do not work. Unplayable.
I saw a great video of this one guy who tried to play the Connect racing game by just sitting perfectly still, miming a steering wheel. He didn't move at all, and he got a new lap record. And so I'm wondering why that isn't the case here. It just autopilots that mech for you.
Maybe they try to do too much with it? I don't know.
It's a hard balance to strike, and I've heard the Kinect is not nearly as responsive as people have wanted it to be.
Well, they took a lot of the processing power out of the unit itself and offloaded it to the 360.
The original
Right,
Kinect
yeah.
was really beastly. Like, it was really a cool device, but they had
You
to
know,
dumb
with-
it
yeah,
down
they
for
couldn't-
commercial, release.
Well, and they had to get it to that like $100 price point.
You know, with Microsoft's focus on Kinect and everything lately, I don't even think I'm going to get the next Xbox.
It will depend on what sort of exclusives, and if they're just going to have like a bunch of Halo. If Halo is going to be their big exclusive, I don't know that I.
If it's
am interested.
Halo, Gears, Fable again, I'm not interested.
I like my PC.
Yeah, PC is great. I'll probably still get a PlayStation, though, because PlayStation has some really good exclusives.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to be the guy saying that horses will stay forever and cars will never take off, but really, how much can a new console do at this point, as opposed to what we can get with patches these days? I mean, look at how like a PlayStation or an Xbox is now compared to when it launched. It's a media center. You can stream. Well, you can't stream games yet. You can stream movies. You can download games on demand. How much do we really need a next gen right now?
Well, I would like something that actually does 720p for a game.
We aside.
I know because
A lot
I think
of
some of
360 games don't do it, like Halo 3.
640p.
It's like 560 or something.
the 576p, 640p. I don't know that there's ever been a 360 game that has done full 720p.
There's
there
been
has
360
been-
games that have done 1080.
Allegedly.
Guitar Hero is 1080.
Well, that hardly
Well,
counts.
fine. But I'm
Dead or Alive
you know,
4, I think, is 1080. Might just be 720, though.
I guess I just take PC gaming for granted.
It's also, Dead or Alive 4 is also locked at 60 frames per second.
See, the whole frame rate thing is just kind of boggles my mind sometimes that we will accept, games at 30 or 60 frames a second, but when we turn around and look at movies at like 30 or 48 frames a second, or TV at 30 or 48 frames a second.
Isn't that 24?
Well, it is, but they're working, like, that's the whole thing with, like, the new Hobbit is that they're putting it up at 48, and people say that it looks too fluid and it just looks quote-unquote fake.
Yeah, I played Dead Space and Dead Space 2 on PC at like 200 frames per second, and it looked kind of weird.
The only time I've ever had problems looking at a frame rate is when a TV is trying to correct for it, and it just looks terrible, like a soap opera or something.
Yeah, on LCDs they do that. You can turn that off so that it looks good, but with it on, it looks terrible.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Like when you go to a store and they have that whatever motion, it's where they try to autocorrect the frames. It's awful. Plasmas look good.
I really think the hang up with video game frame rates is when they go down. Then they start getting noticeable. Like I said, I never had a problem with looking at it.
Next gen games still won't be 60 frames a second because they're going to try to do more, and then that's just going to hurt the frame rate.
It's all about the network, man. Got to get them streaming game services. The next Xbox is just going to be a little tiny thing you plug into your TV.
No, that's not going to work.
True.
Next Xbox is going to be a tablet that
it's not going to work because
use a wireless
they already
controller
have that with what's that
Surface?
demand service?
Gaikai on live?
No.
two.
There's another one where you pay a
On Live.
subscription. Everything is on live. Yeah.
He said that.
I said that.
Oh, I wasn't listening. I'm sorry. I apologize.
I forgive you.
But on live doesn't work. It only works in the 48 continental United States, so I can't use it.
And I'm sure there's states in the middle somewhere that don't have good enough internet for it.
My internet's not good enough to use either of those, apparently. Because someone's too good for regular old DSL.
Plus, there's got to be severe input lag with that. Severe.
My friend
Kinda
Cheese
depends.
Bill has it, and he says it's great. But he's in where is he? He's right side out in Pittsburgh and in the boonies, and he has decent internet. He had better when he was in New Jersey because he had Fios.
Oh, Fios is supposed to be the shit. Give me my 200 megs down and 50 megs up.
I'm moving to an apartment next year that advertises 50 megabyte or megabit up, no, 50 megabyte down. So I'll give you
That's
a
pretty
report
good.
when I get that.
Cool.
But if new TVs can't even manage to play games without input lag, how can OnLive do it? Over like hundreds of miles.
I don't know. Magic? Magnets?
Just a public service announcement. Research TVs, people, before you buy them. Look up input lag. Otherwise, you're going to end up taking it back to the store like 100 times, and you're going to be mad.
Is there a story behind this, X?
I bought a TV a little over a year ago. I bought a Samsung, and I took it back, and then I got a Sharp, and then I took it back, and then I got a Sony, and I kept the Sony. Because the input lag made games unplayable. Like, I tried playing Killzone on the Samsung, and it made me want to throw up because it was so bad. Like, there was like a 1 to 2 second delay between what you did on a controller to what happened on screen. So looking around and stuff was just really weird.
Well, yeah, 1 to 2 seconds is huge.
And then Pac-Man Championship Edition DX is completely unplayable.
Oh god, I can't even imagine that.
You
That's
hit a
something
button
I've
to
never
turn,
had.
and then it's too late. You're dead. It's terrible. If you're using Plasma, so you probably won't have any issue with that. If you stick with Plasma forever, because they typically have less input lag. But yeah, it's awful.
Do we have any other PSAs?
Eat right, work out, stay active.
Wear sunscreen.
Or
Delete
you'll get
Facebook
the
at the gym.
shingles like I did. Mine's fine.
Mean
I
skirt?
started- No, not that.
Guard your
Yeah.
Do you mean
pants.
leprosy?
Okay, guard your pants.
No, it's not leprosy.
Skin
I've got
AIDS.
I've got the plague now though. I sound better than I did earlier in the week though.
Wait, were you messing around with any rats?
No.
I don't think you have the plague.
You had the sexy voice earlier in the week.
Yeah, I'm kind of disappointed that I've gotten better. But
Yeah.
but right now I'm basically earlier in the week I had like the sudden onset cold, and then maybe was it Thursday I started getting an ear infection as well, and it's actually I've been pretty good today. I can actually like wear my headset without wincing every 45 seconds or so.
Well, that's
That's
plus.
good.
Totoro is a really big baby when he gets sick,
Oh, fuck off.
but it's true.
Tension builds in the Totoro household.
No, it doesn't. I'm laughing. Ha ha.
Okay, so I get text messages about every 15 to 20 minutes while somebody's at work with status updates as to how his ear feels. It's on the pain scale of 0 to 10.
This is amazing.
It's currently a It's currently a 3. An hour later, okay, my ear's a little bit better. It's down to a 0.5. Ow, my pain's up to a 1. It's horrible.
Well, no, I was trying to tell her, like, how I felt like without pain, like a pain reliever, and then how I felt with a pain reliever, and then about trying to give her an idea of how long the pain reliever lasted. And I can't believe she's fucking bringing this up on the podcast.
This is the best. I'm so happy right now.
Well, you're just mad because your wife's not at home.
She's coming home tomorrow, man. I'm excited.
And then no one heard from Dakazu for 3 days.
Except
That's
for
not
his...
true.
Never mind.
Hey, watch it.
Hey, fuck you. Callbacks.
Yes, callbacks back to the Moviebox pick that I did.
You've been bad.
Speaking of Moviebox,
Are we speaking of Moviebox now? Already?
Well, we could do that and then go back to other stuff as well.
I wanted to talk about a lot of Hitchcock stuff, so I wouldn't mind going to Moviebox early. That's why.
Yeah, we could definitely talk some Hitchcock. I know that this is something that I know that Mrs. Totoro and I have watched like a number of them, but we definitely have not seen them all. So
yeah, just
my
a quick
bucket list.
Wait, just a quick explanation. Moviebox is where on our forums we choose movies, and actually you explain this.
It's a movie club.
There you go.
we choose
My
movies.
bucket list is to complete every one of the Hitchcock films. Sorry, guys.
How many are there?
I'm looking that up right now.
I've
Yeah, I
seen a
was gonna
few,
say,
but I haven't seen them in so long that I really don't remember them.
And then Mrs. Totoro actually had a correction on something that I said from last week.
Did you say you
I
thought
did.
Break-In was a Hitchcock movie? Because that's not true.
I thought it was Breaking' 2.
I would love to have seen him make a Break-In movie.
No, he noted that The Birds was a novel that by Daphne du Maurier that Hitchcock had adapted into a film. The Birds was actually a short story. The other novel of Daphne du Maurier's that was adapted was called Jamaica Inn.
Good to know.
Yeah. But do we want to talk about other Hitchcock movies before
Let's
we go
start
to
with the
Rebecca?
Moviebox pick, which was
Okay.
Mrs. Totoro's choice. Mrs. Totoro, why don't you introduce it?
Well, the movie that I chose was actually it's my absolute favorite film of all time, and it's the 1940 film Rebecca.
This is your all-time favorite. This is number one, numero uno.
Number one with a bullet.
So you like it more than Break-In 2, Electric Boogaloo?
I like
And
it more
Prometheus?
than everything.
Well, there's no way it's worse than Prometheus. I mean, Prometheus is the worst movie ever made.
So why don't you give us a little rundown of Rebecca for those of us who haven't seen it? Well, I've seen it, but
I think we've all seen it.
All right, so Rebecca is a psychological thriller. It is in noir style, and it stars Joan Fontaine and Laurence Olivier. Basically, Laurence Olivier is a wealthy widower, and he meets a middle-class companion to a socialite, marries her kind of on the spur of the moment after meeting her in Monte Carlo, and takes her back to his estate Manderley, where she meets the evil housekeeper, Mrs. Danvers.
And basically, throughout the whole movie, she kind of lives underneath the shadow of Mr. De Winter, who is Laurence Olivier's character, lives underneath the shadow of his first wife, who is Rebecca. And actually, throughout the whole movie, they never name Joan Fontaine's character. She's always the second Mrs. De Winter.
So whenever I refer to her, I always call Joan Fontaine SMDW.
What?
Second Mrs. De Winter.
Oh, okay.
I call her, yeah.
I liked when she got that phone call and she was like, no, she's dead.
Yep.
yeah.
So yeah, this movie is Jane Eyre.
Yes.
Pretty
That,
much.
That has been noted that the original novel by Daphne du Maurier may have been plagiarized.
I thought the movie was good, but a little generic.
How so? How do you mean generic, I guess, is what I'm wondering.
It's like generic good movie. Like
Oh.
stereotypical good movie, if that makes sense.
I gotta
it
agree,
does-
this is
it actually
kinda
doesn't
something-
make sense. So please explain.
Hey, Pam, what were you saying?
This is kind of something I would expect from Hitchcock. Twist or murder, that sort of thing. It does seem to have parts that are predictable, but I wouldn't go ahead and call it generic.
Well, I don't mean just predictable. I just mean generic. Just like if you were to imagine a good movie in your head, like this is what I would imagine.
Like a good black and white kind of 1940s style film noir movie.
Exactly.
This is it. Well, and I kind of feel like this is, especially when you look at Hitchcock and you look at where this sits kind of within his career, I feel like this is the start of, Hitchcock doing a lot of the very popular kind of thriller movies. This is prototypical Hitchcock, in my opinion.
There is probably a reason for that, and that is because this is his first American film. The last film before that, I believe, was Jamaica Inn. And when he came to, Hollywood to do this film, it was being produced by David Selznick, who at the time was also working on Gone with the Wind. So Selznick really wanted to control the production of this movie and wanted to have a lot of input on it. And Hitchcock did not like Selznick very much. So he would find ways of editing through the filming so that Selznick couldn't cut things later.
Sneaky. I think I did that in 10th grade film class.
Well, and there are some other things that, like the stories about like the production of this movie, because that kind of are interesting. At the time, Laurence Olivier, you talk about Gone with the Wind and David O. Selznick. Laurence Olivier was married to Vivien Leigh, and Olivier wanted Vivien Leigh to be in the movie, and he allegedly acted very standoffish towards Joan Fontaine, and a lot of the other actors and some of the crew would act standoffish towards her. And I don't remember if that was on the orders of Hitchcock, but he used that to kind of enhance and inform her feeling that she was an outsider in the world of Manderley and in the world of the De Winter household, and specifically to play that, to play off that feeling. I thought it worked very well.
Yeah, it did.
I thought that there were some parts of the movie itself that were very advanced for Hollywood in terms of the morality police. There's the lesbian undertone of Mrs. Danvers and her obsession with Rebecca, and then the adultery sideline with the Jack character. They really played fast and loose with just kind of the things that they were allowing people to see that was going on in this world.
But didn't they ultimately still edit the part? Because in the novel, they didn't like Mr. Winters. Wait,
Maxim.
is that his name?
Yeah, Maxim De Winter.
Yeah, Maxim. Didn't Maxim actually shoot and kill his first wife? And they changed that to that she fell and hit her head open, which is weird, by the way.
But in the movie, they do make it. They make it kind of sketchy that he pushed her.
Yeah,
but
I mean, he said she fell all of a sudden. It's like, what?
I hit her and then she fell.
Yeah, but he left out the hit part.
It's ruled, in the inquest that it was suicide by proxy. She knew that she was going to be dying, so she was just antagonizing him into doing something to her.
Yeah,
so
that part was
like,
the same.
Yeah.
I didn't like that the new wife was just cool with it. It just reinforced the fact that she was just a super weak character.
Well, but that's who she's supposed to be, though.
That's true.
Yeah, it's supposed to be like this whole ordeal is breaking her. She's not the innocent little girl anymore after hearing this truth about Manderley, about Maxim.
I laughed because the scene where she fainted in like the courthouse scene. That was funny. I was like, oh yeah.
I mean, second Mrs. De Winter is literally supposed to just be this really young and naive, middle or lower class girl. And the only thing that she's ever going to be in life is either a nanny or a teacher of some kind, or, something, because that's what those kinds of companions travel with socialites to learn to do.
But she was also just cool with murder, or at least hiding a body.
Well, she didn't want to be kicked out, and she obviously was in love with her husband at the time, and she knew the kind of cult that had been built up with Rebecca within the household and within the whole social scene that they were involved with. And, it was very kind of clear to me that, with Mrs. Danvers and with Rebecca, they were not, well, not that any of them in the movie are, good people, and kind of my sense of the term, but Mrs. Danvers and Rebecca were like hideous people. So it's like, I wouldn't shed tears necessarily if someone I loved, was antagonized by a horrible person, and in the heat of a moment, maybe purposefully, maybe inadvertently, however it played out, killed the other person, I don't know that I would feel bad about it, but I've never been in that situation, so.
You hear that, Mrs. Totoro? Totoro's cool with you killing some dude.
Also remember, this is right after, she goes to his side right after he says, I never really loved that first wife. Everyone else is wrong. You're the only person I've ever really loved in my life. So you can understand a little bit more of her coming to his aid.
Yeah.
Well, he full on admits, she thinks that because that you guys were talking about the standoffishness of the actual actor to the actress, using that, she feels that he's standoffish towards her, and that it's because he's still in love with this, first wife, this mythical creature that he had married. But when he tells her, this marriage was a sham, it was all, just business, that everything between them changes instantly, even though he has, been implicated in her death, she loves him and realizes that he loves her.
Yeah, a lot of moving parts in this movie. A lot of interpersonal relationships that are just, about as clear as mud sometimes. But I feel like by the end, everything gets resolved.
I still think it's really close to Jane Eyre. Way
Yes.
too many plot points are way too similar.
And that would be where the controversy of Daphne du Maurier being accused of plagiarizing Jane Eyre would come in.
Unfortunately, I'm not familiar with Jane Eyre.
Okay, so this girl, Jane Eyre, she meets this, who is it, Mr. Rochester, is it, in Jane Eyre? Something like that.
I believe.
He's a widower. They go to this new mansion, and she's more of a common girl, and all of a sudden, there are, like, rumors, and she hears the voice of, like, the first wife. Like, she's tormented and haunted by that.
Yeah, it's a Bronte.
Okay.
Well, the similar points is that there's a girl that marries a widower, and then she's haunted by the first wife, right. And at the end, the house burns down.
So there's no psychotically horrible housekeeper?
No, in Jane Eyre, the first wife is actually locked up in the attic.
Oh, fuck, okay.
And she goes crazy.
Spoilers for Jane Eyre.
But if you've ever read the...
It's a 150-year-old book.
I was expecting that to happen in this.
Do you guys know what White Sargasso Sea is?
I've heard of it, and I know where it is geographically, but I've heard of Wide Sargasso Sea. Like, is it a play?
It's a Star Fox level, right? Star Fox 64?
No, it's a novel. It was a novel written in, like, I forget when, but it was written way past when Jane Eyre was. But the novel is, like, set as a prequel. And it's about the life of the crazy wife. Kind of explains, like, what happened in their relationship, makes her more of a tragic character.
So it's fanfic.
Basically, but it's really good fanfic.
It sounds like, kind of going back to talking about David Selznick and what the other Gone with Wind, the fact that he was producing that. I know they made that. Someone wrote Scarlet afterwards and then made that into a TV movie, and that's like fanfic. Probably not as good as this Wide Sargasso Sea.
I actually enjoyed Wide Sargasso Sea, I think, more than Jane Eyre.
Oh, really? That's That's high praise.
Well, I just like that they took this basically like in Jane Eyre. This character was just this crazy wife, and they really kind of like this author really expanded on like what her motivations were, what happened like during their like the courtship between her and like Mr. Rochester, and like how it just kind of ended in like, you know,
Just ended badly.
yeah, exactly. Made her more of a tragic character, which I thought was always an interesting way of doing it. It's always interesting to like see like what the other side is, you know.
Well, that's because I mean I've never really given any literature by the Bronte sisters much of a chance. When I would read some of it, and like when I was in school and stuff, it never really struck a chord with me, so I never pursued it much. But that actually sounds more like my cup of tea.
There's a movie adaptation too, so if you're lazy, I guess you could check that out. I don't know how good it is.
Speaking of
Mrs. Robot, you may have to go fix that real quick.
Okay, yeah, she's doing that real quick. But yeah, that's something. And that's the other thing, is that there are so many film adaptations for like film adaptations for like the Bronte novels and for like Jane Austen, that it's just, you know, sometimes it's hard to find a good one.
I'll tell you what a good one that's coming out is. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
So what were you getting ready to say, Mrs. Totoro?
I was going to say, you were talking about fanfic. There was a sequel to the novel Rebecca by Susan Hill called The Second Mrs. De Winter that came out in 1989, and it was actually pretty good. And then one of the other books that they have linked, one of du Maurier's books too, Jamaica Inn, is similar to Wuthering Heights.
Oh, you're fucking kidding me.
So in other words, she's probably a plagiarizer.
Or a really big fan.
Now, how about the birds? Did she plagiarize the birds?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Speaking of which, where would you rate Rebecca in the Hitchcock scale? On a scale of Prometheus to the birds?
Is that our official scale? Because I think X is the only person who like.
Totally
I don't know if I
hated that
agree with
movie.
the scale. I don't want this
Well,
to be
I
like an
haven't
all
seen
talk
Prometheus
official
yet.
scale.
That's the official scale.
No.
Okay,
Canon.
okay. Let's try this. Let's just go down the list, go down the line here, and just rattle off what our absolute favorite Hitchcock movie is, and then we can go from there and discuss from
The
there.
Birds.
Well,
Man
mine
Who
is
Knew
obvious.
Too Much.
What'd you say, Pant?
Man Who Knew Too Much. That was Hitchcock, right?
Oh yeah,
I
that
don't
was
know.
Hitchcock with.
I was kind
that
of
was
sleeping.
that was K Sera Sera with
Yeah.
oh fuck,
Whatever will be, will be.
Doris
Will be.
Day and Jimmy Stewart. How about you, X?
Well, like I said, it's been so long since I've seen them that I don't really remember them all that well. So just based on what I remember, I'm gonna have to go with Rebecca.
Okay, I
Not like
I will
Psycho.
Like I said, I haven't seen it in so long.
my
I
favorite.
mean, since I was a kid.
Right. My favorite Hitchcock is Rear Window, easily.
I
The
do like Rear
Shia
Window.
LaBeouf remake called Disturbia. What's your favorite?
God, that no, and not the one with Christopher Reeve and who else was in that?
It
Daryl
was
Hannah?
Superman in a wheelchair, right?
Yes, after he had his
He
accident.
was shot with a kryptonite
No.
bullet.
Nope.
Now, there is one thing that you have skipped over about Rebecca, and that's that Rebecca won an Academy Award.
It did.
Yeah, this
Best
won
Picture,
Best
right?
Picture.
Oh, yes.
Shortest Oscar speech ever, right? Thank you.
If I
Exit
recall
stage
correctly,
left.
yes, Hitchcock delivered that, the shortest Oscar acceptance speech ever at 2 words.
And then they never gave him another one.
Wasn't
no,
it
I don't
also the first picture to win Best Picture that didn't have like Best Actor or Best Director or anything like that? I think that's what I was
I
reading.
think so.
yeah, this was
it
the
didn't-
only Oscar it won, right? Best Picture.
Mhm.
I think it won like a set direction or something like that.
It won 2. It won Best Picture and something else.
Like I feel like it was set direction or set design or something like that.
It had 11 nominations, and Olivier Fontaine and Mrs. Danvers were all nominated.
Yeah, I still think she is one of the Mrs. Danvers is still one of the absolute most horrible, evil characters that I've ever seen in film. I know you guys probably don't agree with me so much, but she's just
Yeah,
I can
I
definitely
don't.
see that.
I don't agree.
I can see that where she. You gotta love a villain who tries to get inside your head and go from there. Wasn't how one of the ways the first Mass Effect could end? You convince someone to kill themselves.
No, that was a Fallout.
Mm.
Yeah, Fallout.
I
You
mean,
can
like Fallout
convince
2 or
a
something.
computer, spoilers, to kill itself.
Mrs. Danvers psychologically, very coldly and in a manipulative fashion, convinces the second Mrs. De Winter that Rebecca is irreplaceable and adored.
Yeah,
and
totally.
she was neither of those.
Well, and I think the other, like, when I see Mrs. Danvers, I compare her to another Oscar-winning movie, another Best Picture-winning movie, and a Best Actress winner, and Nurse Ratched from One
I was
Flew Over the
about to
Cuckoo's
say
Nest.
Nurse Ratched.
She,
I was about to bring her
those
up.
two women are just absolute fucking bitches, and I hate both of them. And they are both played so well, and they're two of the worst. I mean, the most hated, characters to ever appear on screen.
But I would say
To me.
Nurse Ratched is pretty far ahead of Mrs. Danvers in terms of like
I would agree.
being evil.
Yeah, Mrs. Danvers just came off as upset and bitter. Well, okay, maybe not just upset and bitter, but you can definitely see where she's coming from in a position of grief or something like that.
Well, it's like a cult of personality or something going on. This is just for me, but they're horrible people.
Oh, yeah.
Now, even though Rebecca is my absolute favorite movie, I do love Rear Window, as Totoro was talking about. I love Vertigo. I love The Birds. Okay, let's go down to like on
I
The
think
Birds.
you want to go Vertigo over Rear Window, though.
I do
no.
not like
No.
Vertigo.
Vertigo is the first couple times I saw Vertigo, I wasn't in love with it, but watching it a couple more times, it's grown on me quite a bit.
I always say that movie should have ended like 5 times. It's just had so many false endings, and it started out really good. I'm like, yeah, I can get into this. Oh wait, no, that's Rear Window, the chase scene. But it started out pretty good. I love the mystery, the suspense in it, and then it just started getting weird and unbelievable
I was
and
gonna say,
just kind of
Rear Window.
unappealing.
Rear Window didn't have a chase scene.
Rear Window, yeah, at the very beginning on the rooftops, right? Or no, that is Vertigo.
No, that is Vertigo.
Man, I'm getting those all. I should not have watched those two so close together.
Rear Window, all of the action takes place pretty much inside the apartment, and
Right.
in the courtyard.
The courtyard.
The apartments around the courtyard area.
For some reason, I was thinking the reason he broke his leg was that chasing on the roof, but that's the reason he got vertigo in Vertigo. 'Cause he saw his
Exactly.
partner die.
No, in Rear Window, he broke his leg because he was a photographer, and he was taking pictures of an automobile race, and the car went off the track and basically ran into him.
It's all coming back to me.
Isn't
Yeah.
Rear Window the one Hitchcock film that's been remade the most, or is that Psycho?
I think Psycho was
feel
just
like-
remade once, and it was a shot-for-shot remake.
Yeah, they used the same shooting script. That was terrible.
Never got those.
He did it because he didn't want to remake it, so he remade
Wasn't
it.
Vince Vaughn in that?
Yeah,
Yep, he played the Anthony Perkins.
the guy that was the director, they
Oh,
got him to
God.
do it, and he didn't want to do it.
Gus Van Sant.
He said it was creatively bankrupt to remake a movie like that, so he made it as creatively bankrupt as possible.
He
Now,
just took their money.
one movie that I always forget that Hitchcock did that I really, really love is the first Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and it has nothing to do with two secret agents, but it's actually a screwball comedy.
What?
Yeah, is this the one about the two that they find out that they aren't actually married, and they go through and they try to decide if they want to actually get married?
Yes, it is. It has Carol Lombard and David Smith in it. Or Carol Lombard and Robert Montgomery, I'm sorry. And they find out that for some complication has caused them not to be married after 3 years.
Is this on Netflix? Because I want to check
don't
this
know.
out now.
It's it may not be on instant streaming, but you can probably definitely get it at through the DVD plan. And that's the other thing is that you can probably get these at your local library if your local libraries do DVDs.
Yeah, I'm sure the college library near me has to have something.
Yeah, I would think that, especially college libraries, if they have a good media department, I'm sure that they have to be stocked up on Hitch, because Hitch is just quintessential.
I'm a little surprised no one brought up North by Northwest.
I think I watched a
getting
little
on
of
that. I was getting to that. Actually, I was thinking about that. I was thinking about Cary Grant kind of, on Mount Rushmore getting chased by, the plane and the field, and there were
Getting terrorized by a crop duster, yeah.
A lot of people parody that, and I don't think people realize that's from North by Northwest.
Yeah.
And Cary Grant's my absolute favorite actor. So anything that he's in, I just adore it.
I saw that in my German class in high school.
I saw it in German?
By Nordvest.
No, it was in English.
That's like how I first saw Tron in my Spanish class.
What?
In English. Exactly. In English. We had
Okay.
a terrible Spanish teacher.
My
Okay,
German
as
teacher was great.
As
He let us watch
someone
Gladiator.
who might be involved in the education business, I will tell you, when a teacher decides to put on a movie and you don't know why, it's usually because that teacher is hungover.
Probably.
Not this teacher. He was like 70.
So he was
And
dead.
not the type of person that you would think would get drunk.
Oh, it's like, I remember actually, we had and I think it was in my freshman year world history class, we had, we got to the end of unit early or something, or it was like right before a break or something, and we were studying ancient Greece, and we got to the end of the unit, and my teacher showed Greece with John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John.
What?
And it took me like halfway through the movie, I was like, oh, Greece, oh, homophones, got it, okay.
But not Grease too.
No, God, no.
Getting back to
would've
Hitchcock
protested.
a bit, when I was 12,
You
I
asked
went
your
to,
mother, what will I be?
no, I went down to the, Florida, and I went down to Disney, is it Disney World down in Florida?
Yeah.
I don't even know.
But they also have a Universal theme parks.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
Universal
one of the places that we went, one of the rides or the attractions was a Hitchcock area,
Oh, no shit. That'd be
and it was
fucking
really
awesome.
cool. Like they showed us around the Hitchcock display. Like a tour guide showed us basically how Hitchcock set up all the trick shots, and then they would pick volunteers to sub in and redo the scenes.
Yeah, that actually makes me something that I wanted to bring up, or now I want to bring it up. I didn't think about it until you were talking about trick shots, but they actually, the dolly shot that was kind of made famous in Vertigo, that you see in some of these other places. Like I know one of the things that I remembered in was Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, but it's a dolly shot. Basically what you do is you either pull the camera back on a dolly and you zoom in at the same time, or you push in with a dolly and you zoom out, but it creates this kind of unsettling effect.
Oh, the compression shot, yeah.
Yeah. I've heard it called a dolly zoom and a vertigo zoom. So, but it's so cool. I love seeing that in movies, and it just and it's one of those things that when you see something and you kind of know how it's done, and it kind of builds up inside you. It's like, oh yes, I know how they did that.
What is the Hitchcock movie that ends with they're on the Statue of Liberty and the guy falls off?
Ghostbusters 2.
Yeah, it's when they had the slime, and then they had to make
Okay,
the
so
happy
obviously
slime.
no one here remembers, but there's a Hitchcock movie that ends with that, and the way they did that shot was they had the camera on a dolly right above a person who's kind of like hanging on kind of like an invisible swing, and the person would pretend to flap their arms as the camera would literally move upwards away.
Oh,
so
really?
That's how they got that shot. Or there was another one where it was like a battle on like a merry-go-round, and the guy's trying to hold on. For that shot, they put the guy on one of those wheelie things that you can. I'm trying to think. At schools, they use them for kids to sit on, and then they
Little scooter thingies?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Basically, they have wheels on them, and you just kind of sit on it, and you push with your feet. But they put someone on it, and then what they did was in the background they had a rotating scenery, so it looked like it was the merry-go-round spinning around, and they just rotated that, and they had like this fake foot attached to a stick that was like hitting your arm as like so the actor looked like he was trying to fight as someone was trying to kick him off.
That's interesting.
I mean, if we're going over our favorite Hitchcock shots, I don't remember the movie, and I probably just only watched this opening scene, but it was like a continuous 5-minute shot. It might have been Saboteur. Someone puts a bomb in the trunk of a car, and it just follows the car for like 5 minutes as people get in, drive around, and then it just zooms way, way out into a cityscape, and you see an explosion as the car goes around like a building or something. It's just great.
That is, wow, I'm not familiar with that one, but that sounds pretty good.
Saboteur is the one with the airplane plant in World War II.
Well, if you do know the name of this, send it to whatever at geekbox.podcast.
Yeah, podcast at alltalkpodcast.com.
Podcast.
Or on Twitter at all.
Is that what you said, A-Pant?
I don't know.
Podcast.face.
At whatever.podcast.facebutt.
And
I don't
now,
know,
one that...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Dakazu.
Go ahead.
Well, there's a really good Hitchcock film that we've not discussed at all, and that's Rope.
Yeah.
That one was shot and is just one continuous shot.
Well, they faked it a little bit, but they would like do zoom ins on like objects and then zoom out. So, but I think it's essentially 4 shots for the whole movie. But that
How
one's
long is
based
the movie?
on the movie's hour and a half, 2 hours.
Movie length?
Wow.
They do that on the TV show Good Eats a lot. They'll go from one side where
Yes.
the guy's cooking, and then they'll pan around, and it's done, and they did a cut in the middle.
Yeah.
It's an 80-minute long movie, but it's another Jimmy Stewart one.
Well, and it's based on I don't know if you're familiar with the Leopold and Loeb murders. Basically,
No.
anyone, Bueller.
No.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, Mrs. Totoro. Do you want to do it or?
Basically, 2 college students decide that they want to see if they can get away with murder, and they strangle a buddy of theirs and put him in a box and have a party.
Yeah, and basically they just feel like they are so intelligent that there's no way that they don't get away with it.
That's
So it's
really
like
messed up.
So it's like that one
That-
Sandra Bullock movie?
Miss Congeniality.
No, Speed.
What?
Exactly like that.
You're talking about 28 Days Later, right?
The
No,
zombie
you're
movie?
thinking 28 Days. No, 28 Days Later is the zombie movie
The
with
fake zombie
Danny
movie? 'Cause
Boyle.
it's not zombies?
the infected,
Shut up.
whatever.
Hope Floats?
Oh, Practical Magic.
Demolition Man.
Oh, yep, that's it.
Demolition
Practical
Man.
Magic.
My wife loves that movie. It's like her guilty
Demolition
pleasure
Man.
movie.
Demolition Man?
No, Practical Magic. Oh my god.
Wait, she doesn't love Demolition Man?
Oh, I know what it is. It's Divine Secrets of the Yaga Sisterhood.
Yeah.
That's probably it.
Yeah, they decide to kill James Garner, and they put him in a trunk, and then they have a party with all the other Yaya Sisterhood.
Are you sure it's not the proposal?
But
That's
speaking
where
of
they
long
kill Betty White
shots,
and put her in. Never mind.
has anyone seen like the long shot in Children of Men?
Yes.
Have you know what I'm talking about, X? In the car, the one super long shot where they're in the car and like so many things happen.
I thought you were talking about the first scene where at the beginning where he's like getting coffee or whatever, and then there's the explosion.
No. This is the scene where they're being chased in the car, and it's like one continuous long shot.
That movie is so good.
I've only seen it the once, but I really liked it. I don't know that Mrs. Totoro enjoyed that movie though. Children of Men. It's with Clive Owen. I think it's Alfonso
No one can have kids.
Swanron.
Yeah, I've seen the movie with him, and I think it was one that I was on the fence about.
Yeah, no one can have kids on the planet.
Except for this one woman, evidently.
Neither
Spoilers.
loved nor hated that one, I don't think. Sorry, guys.
I don't know if that's a spoiler. It's like the main conceit of the movie.
Spoilers.
There's actually, now that I'm thinking about it, the shots. Do you know what one of the earliest computer-controlled shots was, especially to appear in an Oscar award-winning movie?
I don't know, but I think you're about to
What?
drop some knowledge.
A-Pant will probably know what I'm talking about here in a second. But basically, one of the, as far as I'm aware, one of the first computer-controlled shots was in 1972. the opening scene to The Godfather starts in really close on the face of Buenos Aires. I think it's Buenos Aires, but it pulls back, and that is timed by a computer. The zoom out is timed that way. It's using a computer, where he's doing the "I believe in America" kind of speech.
I didn't know that. Good job, Totoro's brain.
Yay!
Now we're just ripping off of other podcasts.
Maybe.
Oh, something else. Okay, in other knowledge about The Godfather, in the scenes where Michael is out with Kay after they go and see the movie, and he is opening up the papers to see like that his father's been shot. If memory serves correctly, those scenes were actually, or those snippets were actually shot by George Lucas, because he and Francis Ford Coppola are like really good friends or something.
Yeah.
I think, if I recall correctly, hearing that in the commentary.
Yeah, I've dealt with like real film cameras before. I don't know how they did it back in the day. It really is an artistry because, I mean, even these days, if you do use film, it's all the zoom, all the different functions are really controlled by cameras. All you have to do is hit a couple buttons, and it does all that hard work for you. You can autofocus, you can auto zoom, you can program zoom and other distances. It's really crazy.
Well, and you know, I hate to be pulling it so far away from Hitchcock, because I know there are a couple of other things I did want to talk about with in relation to Hitch and the artistry, other artistry, not necessarily to do with technical filmmaking, but Gordon Willis on like The Godfather and doing like Annie Hall really did this thing where he would underexpose the film and it would just make it darker. But he was the director of photography on like The Godfather and Annie Hall, and it was he just did such a good job. But one of the people who won a lot of Oscars for the work that they did with Alfred Hitchcock, who won, I think she won, I don't know, she won, I think, several Oscars for her work with Alfred Hitchcock. But that was Edith Head, and she designed a lot of the costumes for Hitch's movies. And
yeah, that's one thing that just always gets done right.
Yeah, the costumes were in those. I mean, just, you know, the men are always kind of wearing impeccable suits, with the exception of like Rear Window, because he's always in his pajamas. But you know, the women are always dressed very, very well, and it's just everything just is just as it should be.
But even if he wasn't in his pajamas, Jimmy Stewart would have not been dressed impeccably anyway, because he was the photographer who tramped around the world, and Grace Kelly was super elegant in Rear Window.
Oh yeah, definitely. I still remember that scene where she unpacks those pajamas very clearly, where she's got the tiny box and poof, it's this huge dress out of it.
Yeah, it kind of explodes out of that little satchel.
Well, and then there's that tiny little overnight bag that she has that some not so large clothing comes out of. It's just pajamas.
Yeah, I really want to, you know, have this conversation again sometime, or not necessarily, you know, rehash everything we talked about, but, you know, talk some more about some old Hitch or some old movies, because it's just there's so much that can be said. But you know, Rebecca was one of the movies that really got me started watching like older movies.
Did you watch Alfred Hitchcock Presents?
Not kind of off and on, you know, if it was on and if my parents would let me stay up and watch it.
I think that's how I was too. Of course, I was probably like 5 years old or something.
By the way, Apant, I did a little bit of checking because I knew that what that scene that you were talking about sounded familiar, but I knew that it didn't. The bomb in the trunk of a car.
Mm-hmm.
I knew it didn't seem like a Hitchcock film, but it seemed familiar. Does Touch of Evil by Orson Welles sound right?
Yes, that would be
shit.
it.
Okay, yeah, that's the one where it's the Mexican border town and it's Charlton Heston, and Charlton Heston plays an actual Mexican. Yes, that
plays
movie
an actual
is so
Mexican.
Good. Yeah, he plays a Mexican. Charlton Heston is not Mexican.
I'm
All right,
aware of
well,
that.
yeah, it's definitely Touch of Evil. A-Pant loses a life on that one for it not being Hitchcock.
Well, I thought it seemed familiar, but I knew it didn't seem like a Hitchcock opening.
It seemed like it could have been, because I know that Hitchcock, and I know that I had this discussion on the boards, and Giant Asian Man corrected me on it, where it's not Hitchcock discussed that if there's a conversation at a table between two people and then all of a sudden a bomb goes off, it's much more tense if you tell the audience that there's a bomb underneath the table.
I was just thinking of that quote. Yeah, if you show them the bomb underneath the table, then you have 5 minutes of nail-biting suspense accompanied by a inevitable conclusion, as opposed to 2 seconds of shock after a 5-minute boring conversation.
That and the Chekhov's gun scenario, where if you introduce a gun in the first act, it has to go off in the third act.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that bomb at the dinner table scenario right before we did the podcast. I knew someone would bring that up.
I'm about to spoil something possibly, but that rule doesn't always apply, especially if you're David Chase and you show a grenade
Oh, God.
on The Sopranos.
Well, then you're just trying to be a jerk at that point.
You fucking prick. Well, like, that was one of the craziest things, was like seeing Edie Falco's Carmela Soprano, like, loading an AK-47 or whatever, or an M16 or whatever the hell it was. So that was one of the craziest things. Like, right in front of a priest as well. That was, anyway. Yeah.
All right, I think we are going to wrap up on that. What was the next Moviebox pick?
It's from Cross X Hunter. It was Rango.
Oh, that's
It's on Netflix streaming.
That's a fairly
least
recent
in the
movie,
US.
too.
It is.
Squee, Johnny Depp.
Came out last year, I think, right?
or the year before, maybe. I don't remember.
I realize as the estrogen contingent, I am required by law to show my affections for Johnny Depp.
You know, he was in Nightmare on Elm Street.
I know.
It was his first movie.
You know, he
You know,
died
he's in
Nightmare
21
on Elm
Jump Street.
He got sucked into a bed,
Yep, by Freddy Krueger. A waterbed, wasn't it?
and then he came out of the bed, but not in one piece. Well, maybe it was one piece. It was only blood.
Well, thanks for letting me pick a movie box pick, and thanks for having me.
Yay.
Yeah, thanks to APAN1, MrsTotoro, and special guest Tumble being on the podcast.
No problem.
Don't forget, if you're interested in the podcast, you can PM us on the forums at forums.geekbox.net. You can PM Mr. X, Totoro, or me, Dakazu. Or you can just join our Mumble server where we all hang out and do a bunch of fun stuff, like play Cards Against Humanity and record this podcast.
We also play Virtua Fighter. That's
We
fun.
do.
And hopefully we'll do some trivia here eventually.
Yeah, so join the Mumble server. It's a lot of fun. Don't forget to listen to the other podcasts that are part of the Geekbox, including the Geekbox, Comic Conspiracy, the Comedy Button, and Good Job Brain as well. And that just about wraps it up. Thanks for listening. I love you.
I know.
Go to sleep, Totoro man. Go to sleep now, snoring Totoro. Don't you know where are your friends? In the mumble server, hearing you snore.